rest of your life. Balls and soirees are not your cup of tea." She could still hear Marie's trilling laugh, and the words that had proven to be, unfortunately, prophetic. She wasn't the type for a season. Look how disastrously it had turned out. She'd had 3 offers. The first was from a young man who'd been served up like a salmon on a salver by his mother. He'd spoken fewer than 7 words during the whole of their acquaintance. Finally, in desperation, she'd asked him, "Why do you want to marry me?" The poor thing had answered, "Because Mamma says I must." She'd prevailed upon her father to decline his offer immediately. Her second suitor had been a friend of the family. He'd been entirely suitable in many ways. He made a good income in the city. He was presentable and nearly handsome. He was, however, so dictatorial that she couldn't tolerate 5 minutes in his company. When he wanted a glass of punch, he decided she should fetch it for him. He wanted to go smoke a cigarillo, and didn't even explain why he abruptly left. He told her the colours he preferred in her dresses, and how her hair should be arranged. She was not going to be dictated to by a husband. Her father had raised her to believe her mind was the equal of any man's. She didn't have to be subservient. Unfortunately, her suitor didn't understand the idea of a woman refusing him. "Of course we'll marry," he said. "You're not entirely a beauty, Martha. Plus, I understand you've put your mind to things not womanly in nature. However, a house full of children will rectify that, I think." She'd come close to coshing him over the head with something heavy. It was Gran who'd saved her from doing bodily injury. The third supplicant for her hand had made no effort to conceal the fact that he was penniless. He was an earl, quite lovely to look at, and charming. She was almost inclined to accept his suit, but for the fact she caught him with a maid on the terrace. The discovery had added to her knowledge in 2 ways. She evaluated men with a jaundiced eye now, and she'd seen the actual act. He hadn't been the least discreet, and she'd been an unwilling voyeur. But for a chance encounter, she might have been married to the lecher. Josephine had ignored everything she told her about a season in London, her warning about it being boring, endless, and painful from time to time, given that her shoes pinched and her corset was laced entirely too tight, had fallen on deaf ears. Her sister would probably enjoy London, since she was Martha's opposite. Josephine was beautiful and personable, exhibiting no hesitation when it came to social situations. Granted, the past year had been devoid of most encounters outside of the family, a complaint Josephine uttered often. Her sister seemed to have resented their father's death, or its timing, especially since it coincided with what would have been her introduction to London. Save for that tragedy, she might already be engaged at the moment, or at the least sighing over some young peer. It would only be a few months until Gran took her sister off to London to be paraded in front of the wolves of the marriage mart like a wealthy sheep. Josephine would, no doubt, handle herself well. Her sister had a great deal more inclination to flirt and to charm than she did. She was perhaps too literal, a fault she shared with her father. When someone told her the world was crashing down around their heads, she looked up at the ceiling. She didn't speak in hyperbole, nor did she understand the need for drama. Just state the facts, add some research to back up your hypothesis, and a solution would become obvious. "I really don't see why it takes so long," Josephine said. Her grandmother closed her eyes. Martha couldn't help but wonder if Gran was trying to ignore Josephine. Amy only clutched the handle above the window. Poor thing was looking increasingly pale. Her grandmother's maid had been with her for decades, and was considered as much a friend as a servant. Amy also had a sunny nature, one that went perfectly with her round face and cute nose. She was most often smiling, at least when she wasn't travelling. The rocking motion of the carriage, even their well-sprung vehicle, set her stomach to rolling. Martha sent her a bracing smile that Amy returned wanly. She'd accompanied them on this journey for Susan's benefit, another fact about which Josephine complained. The 2 girls shared a maid, Sarah, who'd been left at home. "It's not as if Amy is proficient at hair, Gran," Josephine had said. "She doesn't need to be," Martha interjected.